You're not enough for me. No, no. Just another man in love with me. Just another man. No. Anyone else love that song? I love that song. One of my favorite theme songs of all time, personally. You know, it's different than all the other theme songs that the broads have in WWE. Without further ado, motherfucks, our Royal Rumble was last night, which of course means that it's time for Hater Mania, motherfuckers. For those that don't know, Hater Mania is a time period of the year where I try to do a video every day. Sometimes 2 videos a day. But last year, I held true. I didn't miss a day. This year, we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to try my best, of course. So, without further ado, let's get started with the first ever video of Hater Mania 4. That's right, motherfucks. It's my not my third full year doing this. I've been doing this for like a little bit over 2 years. But, you know, like we did a Hater Mania like in the very beginning of my YouTube life. And then we've done one every WrestleMania. This is the 3rd WrestleMania. So let's get to it, motherfucks. With the first ever video of Hater Mania 4, Royal Rumble review. The Royal Rumble, personally, I didn't really like it, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's start talking about the matches. The first match was Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Now, I'm starting to like Rollins, I'm not going to lie, alright? I feel like this character is the one that is most applicable to him. You know what I mean? I feel like this is the real Seth Rollins, you know? And it's a character that he's actually playing and it has a purpose, right? So if you compare this, for example, to like, you know, the Monday Night Messiah, that was just a name. And he would come out to some like Jesus type music, but it didn't really do anything. Like he didn't behave like a Messiah, except for he would once in a while do like a Messiah taunt, and then he would wrestle the exact same way. Now, he wrestles like Seth freaking Rollins, right? Like it fits for some reason. Like he'll do these like ridiculous taunts where he's like waving his arms for no reason, right? He'll do these like high impact moves. And even in this match, there was a part where Roman Reigns was beating on him, and he was like, "You think it's funny, Seth?" And Seth is like laughing, and he's like, "Yeah, I do," right? While he's getting beaten, which I thought was great. So the match was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Rollins carried it, like in the beginning of the match, like it was just all Rollins, right? He did like a sling blade, he did 2 suicide dives, he did a frog splash, he tried to do a phoenix splash, he did a buckle bomb, he did a power bomb through the table outside, he did the curb stomp, right? That right there, that's like 8 moves, right? That's more moves than Daniel Bryan and Karrion Kross have done in their careers combined, all right? So Seth Rollins is on another level. It's either him or AJ Styles. I personally prefer AJ, but those are the 2 number 1 guys. It's not even close, motherfucks. It's not even close. And then if we're talking about just like in-ring, I would have to say Matt Riddle, because this guy like never fucking botches, but more on that later. But let's be real. Seth Rollins is on another level. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he has been for quite a while, you know, so it's good that he's getting his recognition. Ultimately, though, Roman Reigns puts on the guillotine, Rollins grabs the rope, and Reigns takes a DQ, which was cheap, but it was a good start to the night, because immediately I'm like, Seth Rollins might win the Royal Rumble. You know, he was screwed, he could win the Rumble, because Brock Lesnar, even if he loses, doesn't need a Rumble, he's Brock Lesnar. However, the second match started, and it was the 30 women Royal Rumble match, and it was really bad. Let's be honest. It was a horrible, horrible match. It started with Sasha Banks, all right? You have to start with someone that's actually kind of good, right? You always have to start strong. You can't start with like Goldust like they did that one year, you know? You gotta start with Sasha Banks, then Melina comes out. Now, it doesn't really matter, because who cares? But Melina had gained some weight. Now, nothing wrong with that. You know, she still looked okay, but I mean, it turns out she's only 42 actually, so I don't even know. But it is what it is, right? Her and Sasha Banks have like the same taunt, basically. It's a slight variation, so they start doing the taunt to each other. Melina's about to cry because she's back, I guess, who gives a flying fuck, right? And then eventually Sasha Banks beats her ass and throws her out. And then Sasha Banks does the splits to like make fun of Melina doing the splits. Then Melina starts doing the splits outside, and she's like twerking while doing the splits. And it's ridiculous. It's like, what the fuck is this? Is this a match, or is this like a twerk contest? You know what I'm saying? So then Tamina comes out, which was a complete waste of everyone's time. Tamina comes out. Kelly comes out. She looks like Lana now. You know, nobody really cares. Her theme song is shit. I don't like Kelly. The only benefit to Kelly would have been that if she had stayed in the WWE, she could have still been there, because she's like in her mid-30s. She's like in her prime, you know? But she left, so now we have to deal with these Kelly like returns, like anybody gives a flying fuck. Then Aaliyah comes out. Aaliyah actually did pretty good in the match, but there's something special about her. The only thing that was interesting was she took off like her top bra to reveal like a bottom bra, and then Tamina slapped her with a bra, which was kind of funny. Liv Morgan comes out. Liv Morgan was one of the women that stayed the longest. Liv Morgan just needs to be released. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that this broad brings to the table. Nobody likes her. I don't like her. I don't care. Queen Zelina comes out, and for some reason, the costumes, the costume she's wearing makes her look even shorter than she is. She's already like 4'11". Now she looks like she's 4'5". You know, she comes out, and it's just laughable how small she is. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't help it. She's just too small. You know, like there is such a thing as too small. You know, it's fine. You can be Orange Cassidy. You can even be like Adam Cole and these jabrones, right? And there's a cruiserweight division, right? But there is such a thing as too small. If you're under like 5'6", right? You better, motherfuckers. You better at least get like a Rey Mysterio or a higher level physique. You know, because we have Rey Mysterio, you know, and he's small, but at least he's jacked. He does everything he can to look big. But for women wrestlers, it's not the same thing, right? So Zelina just looks small. Like, she cannot beat up any other woman, not just in wrestling. But, like, if you take Zelina Vega and you're like, fight, you know, like, 100 random women, she was going to get her ass beat by, like, 99 of those random women, probably 100 of them, unless some of them are, like, handicapped or, like, 90 years old. You know, she's not big or strong at all. You know, it's preposterous. It's just silly. You know what I mean? Like, but it is what it is. She is decent enough, you know, like, otherwise, like, she has, like, good moves, but it is what it is. You know, she's not the worst wrestler, but this match really exposed her as being, in my opinion, extremely tiny. Then, Bianca Belair comes out, and everybody knows she's going to be, like, one of the ones that sticks around the longest, and I think she was the one that stuck around the longest. However, she only eliminated one person. She was there, like, according to the Wikipedia article, she was there for 47 minutes and eliminated one person. So what the fuck did she do for 47 minutes? She eliminated a person and they got eliminated. Who cares? You know? Dana Brooke comes out. She gets eliminated swiftly by Michelle McCool, who comes out next. So you hear, "I'm not enough for me." She comes out, but Mickie James eliminates that ass eventually, you know? Mickie James was cool. Sonya Deville comes out next, but she doesn't go into the ring. She sits down, right? And then waits. And then Natalya comes out, but nobody gives a flying fuck. And then Cameron from the Funkadactyls comes out. This prompts Sonya Deville to come in and beat the shit out of Cameron and throw her out. The whole idea, of course, was just that, like, you know, Cameron and Naomi are, like, used to be friends or whatever. Naomi comes out, and, like, I can't believe this girl's still employed. Carmella comes out. I don't care about her at all. Rhea Ripley comes out, and I mean, I don't know why this girl's even in the company anymore. You know, Charlotte Flair comes out, and of course, you know she's going to be one of the main ones. And then Ivory comes out. Remember Ivory, motherfuckers? Ivory's pretty cool. I like Ivory. I fucks with Ivory. Ivory comes out, and she basically is in her right to censor gear, and she just comes out, just cutting a promo about how, like, young women are, like, a waste of time, and, like, they're not good. Rhea Ripley picks her up, puts her on the apron, pats her on the head as Ivory's talking shit, then pushes her out. You know, like, in some ways this was good, because it was like, oh, Ivory's cool, Right to Censor was cool, you know, we get to see some fun things. But in another way, it was really bad, because it's like, it's a serious match, right? You can't just, like, you know, have these little random comedy moments. But whatever, it wasn't so bad. Then after Ivory, Brie Bella comes out, which of course is a welcome sight. And after Brie Bella, Mickie James comes out, stays for a little bit. Alicia Fox comes out. Nikki Ass comes out. Summer Rae comes out. Summer Rae needs to go back to growing her bangs out, because her hairline starts like at the top of her head. It was fucking weird, man. Nikki Bella comes out, which was also good to see. Sarah Logan comes out, and we're supposed to pretend that we give a flying fuck. You know what I mean? Lita comes out, doesn't really do anything. She eliminates one person, doesn't even do the moonsault. Mighty Molly comes out. She gets eliminated immediately because she gets attacked on the outside by Nikki Ass. And then at number 28, Rousey comes out. Ronda Rousey, motherfuckers. And that's the end of that. You know, at this point, we already know who's going to win. It's going to be Rousey. Shotzi comes out, gets destroyed. Shayna Baszler comes out, doesn't really do anything. And then the last two women are Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. And instead of having this epic battle, because they're probably saving it for Mania, what happens instead is Charlotte goes for a big boot. Ronda Rousey ducks, grabs her, throws her over. Just like that, 2 seconds. Ronda Rousey wins. Once she came back, it was pretty evident she was going to win. I would have liked to see Lita, but it is what it is. Ronda Rousey, I mean, you know, she's a draw. She got a big pop, and she's a good wrestler. I mean, let's be honest. She's a good wrestler. Next up, what do we have next, motherfucks? we had Becky Lynch versus Doudrop in what is one of the worst matches in the history of matches. Not because the match was bad, but because we all know Doudrop has no chance of winning this. This is like the obligatory, title match, but you know who's going to win because Doudrop is not going to main event WrestleMania or even main event Elimination Chamber. So, Becky Lynch wins. She does a rock bottom or whatever, the manhandle slam from the top turnbuckle. Who cares? Then we have Lashley versus Brock. And this is what pissed me off. It's not the fact that Lashley beat Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar had him beat. It's the fact that this dream match, number one, didn't really live up to the expectations. They were throwing each other around, but it was a typical Brock Lesnar suplex heavy match, There wasn't anything special because the match was rushed because they wanted to make a point. And the point here was that we're not actually going to see this motherfucker. We're not going to see this match because, I don't know why, but they'd rather just give us a screwy finish. Basically, Roman Reigns comes in, spears Lesnar, then hits Lesnar with a belt to the head, and Lashley just crawls like a pussy and covers Lesnar. This was embarrassing for everyone involved. Roman Reigns looked like shit. Putting him in the ring with Lashley and Brock Lesnar really exposes how much lesser Roman Reigns is as a wrestler. So there's that. 2, Lashley looks like a bitch. It reminded me of the time when, at Elimination Chamber, for the SmackDown title, the World Heavyweight title, Undertaker was the champ, and he beats everybody. And the last 2 people in the chamber are Taker and Jericho, right? And Taker's beating the shit out of Jericho because he's bigger and stronger than Jericho. And then HBK comes out and super kicks Taker to further their feud, right? And Jericho covers, Undertaker, right? And Jericho gets kind of buried because basically they're saying that, the HBK, Taker feud is more important than the title. But there's nothing wrong with that. Because number one, Undertaker was the champion. He dropped it and then he main evented WrestleMania against Shawn Michaels. So there's that. And 2, Jericho is much lower on the card than Taker and Shawn Michaels. He's much lower on the hierarchy than Taker and Shawn Michaels, right? So it's fine for Jericho to do that. And also, thirdly, in the Jericho example, Jericho is so much smaller than Undertaker, so it's completely reasonable, based on his size and also Jericho's character, that he would have no problems winning like a pussy, like an opportunist, right? But Lashley is a big, strong guy. So it's different seeing Jericho crawl and pin Undertaker than it is to see Lashley crawl and pin Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar and Lashley should be presented as equals. They should have a best of 7 series, and Lesnar should win 4, and Lashley should win 3. That's how they should be presented. But I digress. The point clearly here wasn't about Lashley. Lashley came out looking like a bitch. Now, I don't care who Lashley's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. It means nothing. I can tell you right now, motherfuckers, the probability of Lashley either main eventing WrestleMania, being champion at WrestleMania, or winning at WrestleMania is 0, right? There's a chance he might lose, at Elimination Chamber, but the probability of Lashley leaving WrestleMania as champion, in my opinion, is literally 0. I don't see a scenario where the way that he's been booked, he's going to do anything but drop the title immediately. So there you have it. Lashley, in my opinion, was buried the worst out of this match, even though he won. The Jericho example, I think, explains it very well. Then we have Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maurice, which was a pretty good match. All things considered, it was a pretty good match. Now, again, it fell victim to the same philosophy as Becky Lynch versus Doudrop, where I know that Miz and Beth are going to win. But it was good for what it was. Miz and Maurice have a nice little thing going where they have these little meaningless tag matches, but that are memorable in some ways. So, there you have it. Then we have the main event. The Men's Royal Rumble, motherfuckers. Starting with AJ Styles up in this bitch. AJ Styles comes out, and AJ Styles kicks ass as usual. AJ Styles must have been one of the ones that lasted the longest. I'm not sure if he was. Let's check the times here. He was there for 29 minutes, and it looks like nobody else was even close. He was 29 minutes, and then Austin Theory was 22 minutes in there. AJ Styles comes out number 1, and he also eliminated 6 people, so that's pretty badass. AJ Styles comes out number 2, Nakamura, which is nice because you have AJ versus Nakamura, the ongoing feud, right? This really, however, exposes the mid-card belts as being completely meaningless. Because everybody knows that in this dichotomy of AJ and Nakamura, AJ is obviously the number 1. And Nakamura is obviously the number 2. So AJ's going to outlast him, he's going to eliminate more people, and he's going to kick his ass. But then what's the point of having Nakamura be the IC champ? Give it to AJ Styles, have him be the IC champ, and that's good. He's the IC champ. You can have it for 3 years. You know, that's the way you put someone over, and you put over a title. You have someone who like wants to be IC champ and keeps it for like literally 3 years. I'm not even joking. Keeps it and retires with it or something, right? And then like there's no other way. Otherwise, it's completely meaningless. Number 3, Austin Theory comes out. Austin Theory, I like Austin Theory, you know, but like he is what he is. Then Robert Roode comes out, motherfucks. Nothing's being done with Robert Roode. It's been a complete flop in the WWE. I remember back to NXT when he would come out and be like, I'm going to change the game, and all he did was nothing, so it is what it is. Then Ridge Holland, one of my favorite wrestlers right now, comes out. I love Ridge Holland. He's badass. He's big and stocky, and he's believable, you know? He comes out, but doesn't really do much. I think he eliminated like one guy. I don't remember who he eliminated, but I think he eliminated someone. Then we have Montez Ford. He comes out. Even though he's there for a few minutes, it doesn't really matter because we already know he's not going to win. Damian Priest, same thing. He's treated like a complete jobber, even though he's the U.S. champion. Then Johnny Knoxville comes out, which was pretty awesome. He comes out and just gets his ass beat by everybody, right, which is kind of his point, which I thought was nice. Angelo Dawkins comes out, you know, doesn't really do anything as well. Then Omos comes out. Omos eliminates only 3 people. So he had a memorable showing because he was beating the shit out of everybody, but it didn't really matter much in my opinion. Ricochet comes out, and then Chad Gable comes out. Chad Gable is the one who mobilizes the troops and says, let's eliminate Omos. So they all kind of gang up on him. They push him around. They're all trying to throw him over. AJ Styles runs and jumps and hits like a phenomenal forearm. So AJ Styles technically like eliminates him. Like he has the last laugh basically. He's like, beat it, Omos. Get the fuck out of here, right? Ricochet comes out after Omos, like I said. Chad Gable, then Dominic. Dominic comes out. Complete waste of time. Happy Corbin comes out. Dolph Ziggler comes out. Sheamus comes out. Rick Boogs comes out. Let's take a break right there because I got to say something about Rick Boogs. But first of all, let's look at everyone that's come out thus far. You know, you have literally AJ Styles and what? 15 other jobbers. 16 if you count Sheamus. I'm being generous and not counting Sheamus. But it's like, let's be real. Like, out of the first 16, 17 people, right? There's literally one person, AJ Styles, that has an underdog's chance of winning. Like, AJ Styles had the same chances as Carlito in 2005. You know what I mean? He's not like this guy that's going to probably win. But everyone else is a bunch of funakis. Like, everyone is shit. Like, there's zero chance that Robert Roode, Rich Holland, Montez, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, Angelo Dawkins, Omos, Ricochet, Gable, Dominic, Nakamura, even AJ Styles, Happy Corbin, Ziggler, Sheamus. No chance that these guys are going to win. Furthermore, the next guy is Rick Boogs. Now, I would be lying if I said that I did not like the fact that Rick Boogs is a strong as fuck motherfucker. Alright? He is strong. But this guy is as generic as they get. I don't want to hear people keep lying to themselves about how Boogs, Eric Bugenhagen is charismatic. No. Nobody should think that. This guy is a goof. That's all he is. He's a goof. There's a difference between charismatic and being a goof. It's not the same thing. Taka Michinoku was a goof, but he wasn't charismatic. He was cool, but he wasn't charismatic. So Rick Boogs, I could see why people might like him, but in my opinion, Rick Boogs needs to be released immediately. This guy is too green, and all he does is just does these power moves and then flexes. And he has this Freddie Mercury-like aesthetic, which I don't like personally. And quite honestly, I don't see the point. I just don't see it. He's a guy in a red singlet. Like, he has not going anywhere written all over him, you know? There's no chance that this guy will ever be a star. He's going to be like, at best, if I had to like point to his ceiling, at best, Rick Boogs is going to be like, ironically and strangely enough, the next guy that came out. Riddick Moss. Madcap Moss. That's Rick Boogs' place, right? Like when Baron Corbin and Nakamura feud, they have their little sidekicks. That's what Rick Boogs is. He's not good. I don't like him, motherfucks. He had potential because he's strong, but they take someone with that much athletic ability and that much strength, and they want to focus on the personality he doesn't have. He has a personality the way that Adam Rose had a personality. Don't be a lemon. He's like that kind of guy. That's not enough, motherfucks. When people talk about wrestling personalities and things that can get over, you need like an Elijah Burke, like a D'Angelo De Niro type guy. You need someone like that. You need like a Randy Orton. You need even a Riddle is better than a Rick Boogs, right? You need someone with an actual personality, like The Rock, Stone Cold. I digress. And there's some that are like that today. There's some that have what it takes today. Nobody wants to give them any credit, but they exist, motherfucks. People like Hook, who they hook you in, right? Hook has this thing where he comes out and you're like, all right, I understand what they're going for here, right? He's a small guy that isn't afraid, right? He's a small underdog guy who's not afraid, and he'll throw you over his head, and he's a heel. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before, right? Then you compare that to Rick Boogs, which is like a guy who comes out smiling like an idiot. He's like on the level of Reginald in terms of character development. People are like, oh, this guy's the next big thing. So that's it. Side rant about him. Madcap Moss comes out looking absolutely shredded. Madcap Moss, I mean, he's like Rick Boogs, He has potential in terms of like his physicality and his strength and the fact that he can do things and he's athletic, but he's being riddled with these shitty gimmicks and therefore he'll never become anything. Then Riddle comes out, and the Royal Rumble is so poor that Riddle is presented as someone that has a legitimate chance of winning. Even though he's Riddle, he's a tag team guy, right? He has a chance of winning. Next up after Riddle, Drew McIntyre comes out, and he's, of course, by far the first person in this match that has an actual shot of winning this. I would even have been okay with Drew McIntyre winning, because Drew McIntyre is someone that could be a star. He was a star. He is over. He did get a huge pop. He's a big, strong guy, so he has what it takes. Then after that, Kevin Owens comes out, and he looks like a jobber. Then the legendary Rey Mysterio comes out, and I don't care what people say. This is why legends matter. Rey Mysterio being in the match is extremely important because Rey Mysterio can always be a potential winner. It's as simple as that, motherfucks. Rey Mysterio is so good and so legendary that if tomorrow he becomes WWE champion, it's completely reasonable. So that was good. Then Cucky Kingston came out, and I'll talk about this for a little bit. Cucky Kingston had a spot with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens pushes Cucky Kingston, right? And Cucky is supposed to grab the barricade. Now, to his credit, he almost did. It was a very, very difficult grab, right? It was a very difficult grab. It was nearly impossible, let's be honest. Kofi Kingston is one of those guys who's like his athleticism is like, I don't know, like if you compare him to like Matt Riddle, he's like a 7 out of 10 if Matt Riddle's like a 10 out of 10. If you compare him to like a Chad Gable, he's like a 7 out of 10. Kofi Kingston's not that athletic. He's like, if you compare to AJ Styles, he's like a 7 out of 10, and AJ Styles is like maybe a 9, right? There are people that are more athletic than Kofi Kingston. He just gets the moniker of athletic because he tries to do these acrobatic things, but he botches about 80% of them, like always. Like he has like the shittiest crossbody. He tries to do these things that he's just not good at doing. But he has the confidence of a guy. He has the confidence of like a prime AJ Styles, but he's more of like a Grand Metal League, motherfucks. So Kofi Kingston tries, he fails, and the referee has to like pretty much ruin the spot by being like, yo, you failed, bro. Like we can't just like shit on the rules and say you didn't touch the ground, despite the fact that Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are like, he didn't touch the ground, and we all saw he did. Both feet touched the ground. It was as clear as fucking day, motherfuckers. So there you have it. Next up, Otis comes out. Otis is just, a complete waste. Oh, just for the record, Kofi Kingston was in the Rumble for about 21 seconds. This man is a former world champion. Now, I know he was probably going to stay there a lot longer, and he just he missed the spot, so that's why. But nevertheless, he's a former champion. Otis comes out, and Big E comes out up in this bitch, right? Big E is another one that has no chance. Like we all know, he has no chance. Otis has no chance. Big E, you can say he has a chance, right? But it's like the same level as AJ Styles. Like he's like the probability of Big E main eventing WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner is like 0% almost, right? Then Bad Bunny comes out, right, for the second star of this entire match after Drew McIntyre. And then Shane McMahon comes out, which in my opinion is a wasted spot because we all know that Shane's not going to win. He is more likely to win than let's say, Drew McIntyre, than Kevin Owens or Madcap Moss, but he's not going to win, right? Then Orton comes out at 29, crowd goes nuts. Orton rules. Everybody likes Orton. Orton comes out, and him and Riddle are doing awesome shit. They're hitting RKOs on motherfucks. They're eliminating people together as friends, right? And there's a spot where it really shows how athletic Riddle is. Riddle runs off of, I think, Otis's back, doing like a poetry motion, jumps in the air, and hits a cutter on like who did he hit it on? I want to say it was a big motherfucker. Maybe like Sheamus, I don't know. Or Drew McIntyre, maybe. He hit it. The guy that he hit it on tried to sell it as best as he could considering the confined space. But Matt Riddle did it amazing. He did an amazing RKO. It was badass. I loved it. Then, of course, as we all could have predicted after Brock Lesnar got screwed, Lesnar comes out at number 30 and comes in, eliminates 5 people like they're complete jobbers. And in 2.5 minutes or so, 2.5 minutes, he eliminates 5 people. The only person with more eliminations in the entire match was AJ Styles. It's as simple as that. AJ Styles was in there for almost 30 minutes, and Brock Lesnar does what AJ Styles did and more in about 2.5 minutes. It was a wrap. He made everyone look like a debutante. He destroyed everybody. He F5'd Bad Bunny and threw him over like a piece of garbage. I think he pushed Shane McMahon. He clotheslined Shane McMahon. He clotheslined Randy Orton. And he got rid of Riddle as well, I think. And in the end, it was Brock and Drew. And Drew went for the Claymore, missed. Lesnar picked him up and F5'd him over the top rope. And that was it. Lesnar is where he needs to be. Now, really quickly, I don't want to waste any more time. The reason why the Rumble was shit, in my opinion, has everything to do with the fact that it was predictable after Lesnar got screwed. Lesnar isn't the type of guy to get screwed. He was a transitional champion with respect to Big E losing the title and I guess Lashley being the next champion. We'll see who Lashley wrestles. But that title has been rendered completely meaningless now that Brock Lesnar dropped it. Furthermore, obviously the feud is going to continue. Lesnar versus Reigns. Now, I think that's actually an interesting match, primarily because I could see Reigns winning, motherfucks. I could see him winning the same way that Brock Lesnar won their first WrestleMania match. I could see Reigns winning, and winning clean, and it being an actual moment of passing the torch. But then what? Who's going to beat Reigns? You have to wait another year? So most likely I'll say Brock Lesnar wins, but I could see Reigns winning. However, the WrestleMania card is not shaping up to be as good as I wanted it to be. And part of that is because this Royal Rumble failed at one of the 2 most important things that Royal Rumbles are supposed to do. Number 1, showcase the talent that we should be looking forward to at WrestleMania. It did not do that. And 2, further a feud that's going to come up at WrestleMania. Perfect examples. Shawn Michaels and Jericho. Their feud, right? Shawn Michaels says, I'm going to come in at number 1 at WrestleMania. Right? I mean, at the Rumble. And Jericho wins a match that allows him to pick whatever number he wants. And Jericho's like, I'm going to pick number 2 because I want to destroy Shawn Michaels. And he comes in, he like tricks Shawn Michaels basically and eliminates him immediately. Right? Boom. The Rumble started off in a hard way in that Rumble. And we now have an idea of one of the big feuds at WrestleMania. Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. Right? Same thing with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. Right? Again, another Shawn Michaels situation. Where Kurt Angle gets eliminated by Michaels, I think. And then Kurt Angle comes in and puts the ankle lock and like pretty much causes Michaels to be eliminated. Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in their first WrestleMania match. Goldberg gets eliminated when Lesnar comes and fucks everything up. Right? There's so many of these. So many of these that are important. Kane and X-Pac in 2000, right? There's so many elements, even Rock and Big Show in 2000. There's so many things that could happen at the Rumble that could push forward what's going to happen at WrestleMania. None of that happened. And of course, the most important reason why this Rumble sucked, other than the fact that it was predictable, was not one person aside from these 3. Orton, Lesnar, McIntyre, I guess, and AJ Styles. Everyone else is a lower card jobber. Rude and Kevin Owens might as well face each other at the WrestleMania pre-show. No one's going to care anyways. So, for all due respect, just like I said last year, but last year was a good Rumble because Edge won at number 1, you know? It was a story. This year, I have a feeling this will be the worst WrestleMania of all time, motherfucks. So, with all that being said, go fuck your mothers!